Georgia Entertainment Caucus Award today. Previous honorees were James Brown, Ray Charles.
We got a chance to sit down with Karrueche Finney, Sean Combs's apparent close friend for years, who has been a staple during the Diddy trial, wearing attire like Free Puff, even playing music outside of his jail. So, we found out his thoughts on the bombshell verdict, his conversations with the rap mogul, and what we can expect from Diddy once he's released. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. There has been a lot of reaction to the Sean Diddy Combs verdict from last week, where Combs of course was acquitted of racketeering and sex trafficking charges, but convicted of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, and as we await a possible sentencing for October 3rd. Even though there's a hearing this week that may determine whether that hearing is moved up, meaning whether it's expedited, we are getting a lot of reaction, and while on previous sidebars we talked about, the reaction from the Southern District of New York, and we saw immediately after the verdict, Cassie Venter's lawyer and witness Deontay Nash write letters to the judge urging him to deny Sean Combs bail pending sentencing, which by the way, Judge Arun Subramanian did. We now have a reaction from somebody else. We have a reaction from somebody that we've never spoken to before, someone though who has been quite visible during this trial, somebody you may recognize. Charlie Finney. Charlie is somebody who describes himself as Diddy's close friend for over 30 years, who has apparently showed up to every day of this trial. He has worn attire like Free Puff. He has been seen exiting the courthouse with Combs' family. In fact, the other day he and others stood outside the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center, playing music and shouting, "Free Diddy." So, we wanted to sit down with him. We wanted to talk to him about his thoughts about the trial, the evidence, the verdict, what we can expect from Diddy once he's free. Here's my interview with Charlucci. Take a look. Chari, thank you so much for coming on. I got to tell you, I think I thought I covered this case and was there for almost every day and been covering it almost every day. You were there even before the trial started, right? You were there for every part of this criminal process, right? Yes, sir. And why were you there for everything? 'Cause that's my brother and that was my responsibility as his brother. And how long have you known him? How long have you known Sean? Close to 40 years. Like late 80s. Wow. 88, 89. Yeah. Wow. So, I got to ask reaction to the verdict. Bittersweet. I was happy that the big stuff was all to me. All this is big. Let's be clear. 'Cause he's behind bars. But the RICO, the sex trafficking, those carry like exuberant amount of years. 100 years, 50 years, and this guy was never getting out. So me hearing those he was not convicted of that, he was a crit of those that felt good, but at the end of the day, I wanted to see him walk out of there. And that just wasn't what it was today, and the fight still goes on, and we're going to talk about that, what you think the sentence might be. But for those were the major charges. Racketeering, sex trafficking could have been life in prison, could have been minimum 15 years in prison when the jury was deliberating and they were sending notes back and forth. Were you nervous that he was going to be convicted of the top charges? I never thought he was going to be convicted of the top charges. I already always believe that they were going to find him innocent, that because he was innocent of it, and that's always been my stance. And as you see my show, a FRIO is not a RICO, only they always showed, far as I knew, was domestic violence, which is a terrible situation, but that's what they hung their case up on. The government told people there was multiple victims. They didn't tell you people that they were 2 girlfriends, that he was in a toxic, drug addict, drug-driven relationship, in that there probably wouldn't have got him indicted had they said this, "Hey listen, I'm going to bring this guy to court, he has 2 girlfriends that he been having gratuitous, consensual sex with threesomes, and voyeurism, and I also want to throw in some drugs, so I want to lock him up for the rest of his life and take everything he's worked hard for." He would have never got a conviction, right? So, they had to come the other route. Multiple women. Anything more than one is multiple, so, it's playing semantics. So, people thought he was just snatching people off the street, drugging them, and making them a sex trafficking. So, that's what the normal person thought. By the way, you know how there were no cameras allowed in the Diddy courtroom? There was no recording devices that were allowed. It's frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating, because how great would it have been to have Claude Notepin with us? This tiny wearable AI-powered device completely changed the game. So I wear mine as a wristband. You can also clip it on, pin it, hang it like a necklace. During law school, early on in my legal career, I really could have used something like this. Even now as a host, it is a total cheat code. So whether it's meetings, interviews, quick brainstorms, the note pin catches everything. It transcribes in 112 languages. It automatically tags speakers and it drops everything into this clean, digestible summary. There's no more messy notes. There's no more lost ideas. It's not just a recorder. By the way, it actually acts like a hands-free assistant, pulling insights, organizing information, letting you stay fully in the moment. So, if you want to make the most of your time, it's time to try the Plod Note Pin. Right now, you can get 10% off. Just click the link below or scan the QR code on screen. Let me ask you this. The government, they said in their closing, they go, look, not every episode is sex trafficking. But they kind of hit upon a few. They said with Cassie. It was the 2016 episode at the LA Intercontinental Hotel. They talked about the plane incident where Pion allegedly showed Cassie the videotapes and then they land and he demands a freak-off. They talked about Daniel Phillips' testimony. These were read back. Jury asked for read back of this testimony. Jane, they talk about an alleged violent encounter from June of 2024. They highlighted her text messages where she, seemingly was reluctant or about engaging. In this, was any of those points, did that make you feel different at any of those points, and or how did you view those alleged episodes? Last episodes, I took it as to you them having a difference of words, agreeing and not agreeing on a certain situation that's in their own personal life, their own personal bedroom. I wasn't there to see the stuff that was alleged. And also, that's not what the government said. They said in the beginning that he all this was forced. Not 78 sexual encounters, and she decided not to do one out of the 78. She going to just do 77. You know what I'm saying? So they had everybody hooked on that every last one of them ones? It's only later on in the testimonies and in the trial that the government decided to say, hey, you know what? We're not worried about the other ones. We're just worried about these two. And that was crazy to me. One of the things I wanted to ask you since you followed the case as much as anybody. There were two ways to look at it, right? You could say Jane, Cassie, they're telling 100% the truth. But it's the prosecution who's transforming what they're saying into a federal crime, or they're not telling the truth. Do you think Cassie and Jane were telling the truth? They were telling I guess they was telling us their truth. Their see the truth and their truth. I just think that they was given opportunity just to tell their truth. The truth is what got him acquitted. That's what got him acquitted. The truth. Do you think there was any point when he wanted to testify? He wanted to explain his side of the story. Sean, part of me says yes. 'Cause I know him. You know, he's not he don't like to be bullied. He don't like nobody like saying he did stuff and he can't speak up. Like if there's ever an encounter and there's something going on, he don't like nobody to be like I'll talk for you. He like to speak for himself. So part of me would say yes, but I don't know, we ain't speak about that. Have you spoken to him since during the trial after the verdict? Have you had a chance to talk to him? How's he doing? I talk to him like 3 times a week. I talk to him throughout the trial. We do. We make signs, and ain't like I tell everybody, he's a selfless guy. Like when I come in there, he turns around say you hear and cracking jokes and he'd be like are you eating? It's very hot outside. Are you hydrated? Like, he's always asking me these things and I'll be like, yo, go, bro, be easy. I'm here to check on you. I'm good. I'm worried about you. You come every day on time and you sit on them hard benches. They got to be hurting. I'm like, nah, seeing you back there is hurting. How's he doing after the verdict? As you can imagine, he's definitely pleased about the being acquitted for those large charges. Of course, he's ups, he's not happy about still remaining in jail because, when the judge asked him, you would like to go home, wouldn't you? He was like, yes, and then to come back and they say, no, that was a pretty much of a letdown because we thought he was coming home. Are you worried about what his sentence might be? No, just concerned. Not worried because, he's not a predicate. He's never been to jail. He don't have a history of criminal activity. So the charges carry 0 to maybe 10 years. And for his eligibility in that the government wanted 56 months, something like that. The defense asked for 24. I'm thinking they gonna meet somewhere. Between maybe no time and 24 months. I'm hoping he gets time served. Yeah, because he's already been there for 9 months. 10 months, yeah. And what has his experience been like at the MDC? He's been a model prisoner. He's not causing any he's not and as you can see that he's not been getting rid of. He has not been causing any type of uncuffing for the rest of the inmates. He's just been in there just doing his time and focusing on getting out. What did you make of the allegations from prosecutors before the trial that he was improperly using, phone record of the phones and communication services to reach out to people? What you make of that? I make they were trying everything they possibly can to paint him and as a mobster gangster type of individual. He's using the phone, he's doing this, he's reaching out to his kids, ask the kids how they doing. He's never been separated from his children, got 7 kids and 4 of whom mother is done passed on. God bless her, and he's the only parent that them children have to be separated for them. He had to check, he was trying to just call and check on his kids. They try to make everything. They just, you never heard the saying, don't make a federal case out of it. That's what happened. Yeah, I think I've used that phrase. They make a federal case out of everything? Has he told you, let's say he gets time served. Okay, and let's say he gets released in October, maybe sometime sooner. Has he indicated what he wants to do with his life moving forward? He's going to, Sean's a very, very smart guy, and what I'm saying. He gonna become a billionaire and the creator of all these businesses, not being a smart person. He's already formatted in his brain what he's doing to get out, and that's for the world to see. All I can say is to be continued, but I know the first thing he's going to do is go see his mom. Kiss all over her. Love all over her. Same thing with his children. She's going to cook him the best meal he ever had. And he just want to be loved around his family. That's what he just missed, all that. He missed birthdays. He missed Christmases. He missed Thanksgivings. He missed all that graduations. He missed all the important factors in his children's life. You think there's a concern that the public looks at him differently after everything that came out at the trial or in the civil suits? No, because that's his personal life. That's his personal don't for somebody to pay attention to what's going on in your bedroom to me is insane. I don't care what you do in your bedroom. Do you think people are going to look at him differently after the Cassie tape 2016 tape? What they going to look at? They seen a dark Sean. That was a drug-induced toxic Sean. That wasn't a Sean, or the Puff or the Diddy that they know, and I know, right? So, they understand that this is the reason why you don't let your brother drive home drunk because he's a season impaired. There's a reason why you wouldn't let a person that's on drugs babysit your child because they're impaired. They're not gonna make the right decisions. And there's a reason why some people don't bring Bobby to the party. He's been drinking. Bob's normally a nice guy, but if he has a couple of drinks, Bobby might act up. So being a drug-induced Sean Combs is a totally different person from a normal clean Sean Combs who's been in jail for 10 months, and that's clean. So, in other words, you think his lifestyle is going to be different when he's released? I think the drug-induced part of it will be different. There's our rehab, because we're definitely doing that with him to make sure he stays clean. We're definitely doing some what's that? Counseling as far as anger management. So, we know where he went wrong and how to channel certain things opposed to dealing with it through drugs. We don't know what kind of pain he was in. And that's what I want to talk about when they get out. What made him do drugs? I don't, because people, they don't just wake up one morning, you know what? I'm gonna do drugs. It could have been something tragic, you think. He lost the love of his life. There's a lot of things that he went through in life. You figure the death of Biggie, the death of his wife, his mentor, Andre Harrell. I have yet to lose someone that many people back to back in my life. I don't know what kind of pain a person like that can actually endure. Well, it's good to hear that he's going to help himself better himself. Up. When he comes out, I guess the question is this whole case was built upon his sex life. I mean, it really was. And what he was convicted of had to do with prostitution. I mean, do you think he's going to continue to engage in anything that's related to that, or after all Fish is going to say, I'm done? No, first of all, he's done, right? I already know he's done. And secondly, he didn't think this was crimes. I didn't think they was crimes until I sat through this case. I would have never thought that those were crimes. Never. It changed me as a person. Like I need somebody like, hey, listen, no, we're not doing that. Ain't no flying nobody anywhere. I mean, there's no hooking up, doing none of that. You know, I tell everybody practice monogamy. You know, you have somebody, that's what we need to be doing. And I just think that's where he's at mentally. Throughout the whole case, all the evidence, all the videos, all the text messages, the voice notes, was anything surprising to you about Sean? Something you're like, I can't believe this is, my friend. I didn't know this was going on. I didn't know this about him. Were you surprised? Were you concerned about anything you saw? I was concerned about it, all, but I really didn't want to hear all his personal sexual stuff. I didn't, and I just think the jury shouldn't heard all that neither. Because you have older women sitting in the jury. This I seen the one of the jurors. She had to be made like in her 70s, and she was made to look at these videos, which is to me totally inappropriate. Then you have women jurors sitting next to male jurors and they have to watch certain things. I just think that certain things were inappropriate. But the only thing that really bothered me, of course, seeing the videos, Cassie, you know what I'm saying? Being heard up there like that, and knowing that he's the one who caused it. Yeah, that bothered me. You know what I'm saying? But I also knew what Sean did that. That wasn't my friend that did that. That was a drug-induced, a bunch of toxic stuff going on there. And you know his life so well, and one of the names that came up so much during the trial was Christina Kororum, right? His former chief of staff. I think almost every witness mentioned her. What should we be thinking about Christina Kororum? Because basically, according to the government, she was a co-conspirator, right? She was a co-conspirator in this racketeering enterprise. What should we know about Christina Kororum? She wasn't a co-conspirator, and there's no racketeering enterprise. That's it. What should we know about her? What do you know the defense person? What do you think? Oh, it's a brilliant, smart girl. That's it. I mean, I really don't know Christina, but that's what I've always heard about her. I never heard anything crazy or salacious or anything bad about her. She just was a hard worker, smart woman, about her business. That's it. That's all I can say. Do you think any of the witnesses outright lied on the stand about Sean? 1,000%. You want to pick it? Want to pick one? You tell me. Okay. Being hung out of a window, 17 stories in the air by a gentleman that probably weighed about 190 pounds at the time and was wiggling and asking him, don't drop you. And he's holding you over a terrace and you don't drop. You don't fall. I challenge anybody to take a gallon of water in each arm and hold them out for 5 minutes like this. And let's see how that's only a gallon on each hand picture, let alone a human body and it's wiggling and trying to get loose. So, Brianna, a Bongolin right. 1,000, what's her incentive you think to lie on the stand? Because they've all my view, it's all financial. It's all financial. Let me explain. She all, and for the record, all of them didn't have any money. Jonathan was broke. No, don't have any more money. Cassie was living with her mom with her 2 children after living on Park Avenue. These nice places until she got a $20 million settlement and then another $30 million from the hotel. Then Brianna, they read her sting when she was texting Cassie asking Cassie can she use her back balcony for her testimony. She asked, can she use it? They going back and forth. Well, can I use the living room? No, I'm not going to use the living room. Can I use you as a witness? There, doing that, all 3 of them going back and forth. So that's a conspiracy right there. You got Cassie, Brianna, and Jonathan, and Carrie Morgan all talking about who's suing and who's going to get who got after Cassie got paid. And they all stayed in contact with Cassie throughout her trial. They were still able to talk to her. They said it on the stand that the government last Cassie. Oh, I talked to her yesterday. Really? And you're a witness. They then, every last one of them spoke to Cassie her whole testimony while she was on the stage on that stand. And they were allowed to come in there and sit up there and fabricate and tell stories after speaking to the witness. That was just on there. What would you say to the counter-argument? What the government said is, hey, listen. She settled. She got the money. Would she really go on the stand and purge herself in a federal trial? What's her incentive to do that? What's your response to that? For me, are you who youting about purging themselves? Which one you talking about? Cassie. Let's say Cassie. Oh Cassie for the Cassie in my opinion was given immunity in my opinion because if she wasn't she would be right behind bars with Mr. Combs because she's a co-conspirator. If they was going to charge they were going to charge something. She acted in concert. She called the workers. She arranged everything. She paid them. The Daniels said that he never talked to Puff. He said that she called him and she talked to his manager. She when he walked in, she told him, don't pay attention to Puff. He's in the corner. That's my husband. Don't pay attention to him. Don't talk to him. Don't do nothing. And proceeded to do what they do. Well, now he's so. This like, I've said this before, it's a massive win for Sean. I mean, yes, he was convicted, but considering what he was facing, it's a massive win. He's got all these civil lawsuits now. Do you know how he's going to prepare for them? How he's going to deal with them? There's I think 66, 67 right now. And the number's going up every day. Everybody wake up in the morning and everybody wake up in the morning. They got a lawsuit. First of all, this man can't be at all this place at the same time. And all of them said the same thing. And I'll tell you, you know what's interesting? I'm happy. You bring up the idea of what the case is about because one of the things we were always struggling with is there was a lot of misconceptions about what this trial was going to look like. Who was going to testify? What it was about, and I think one of the things we always tried to do was keep a sober analysis like this is what it's really about. This is who's going to testify because there are a lot of rumors, and innuendos. And one of the things that I didn't even get a chance to talk to you about, I have to ask you, so, I got your reaction to the physically, emotionally, what was it like for you to be in the room and hear that? And were you outside afterwards? 'Cause I understand there was quite a scene outside the courthouse. Yes, I was at both places, at both times. I was sitting there, when the verdict was read. When the first one came through, not guilty, I just started crying, not sobbing, but just a tear rolled on my face because I felt his release. I felt I could feel his sigh. That big one was like oh God. Because they was going to take everything from this man. Everything that he worked hard for, they was going to take that from this guy for nothing. And then I went downstairs. They was squeezing baby oil on each other outside. It was crazy. They were squeeing free puff. Free puff. It was dancing. It was a lot of that, you know. It wasn't like that in the beginning. They wanted to crucify him. Everybody thought he was guilty. And that was part of my job. I went outside every day after court and I sat there and I talked to every blogger. I talked to every YouTuber, every person walking by that had a question because the family and the legal people had a gag order, so they could not speak up for him. I didn't have one. So I was out there, you know, putting it footnoted down the street, talking to everybody had a question. Why you wearing that shirt? I'll explain it to them and then I'll take them through the case. I walk with the I, walk with the R, the V, the indictment. You know, you seeing children on this indictment? No? Do you see any do right? Do you see any drugs on this indictment? The racketeering part. Well, but the racketeering part was it wasn't the racketeering, because they tried to manipulate. And say that because he handed her a ecstasy pill, that's drug distribution. Tech. See, all these are technical things. Technically it is. You follow me. Tech, in the technical terms, that's drug distribution, right? But the average person here, drug distribution, they think he's a drug dealer. Like he's out there disputing drugs all over the country. Yeah, right, it's a play on the words. Like when you said sex trafficking, they didn't think taking your girlfriend to a threesome is sex trafficking. I would have never thought that like that, no. But the average person thought her drug trafficking, sex trafficking. Kids in shipping containers, women being held against their will. That's like I said, It's all semantics. When they said multiple victims, they didn't say to girlfriends. They made people believe it was anything over one is multiple. I hear you. I have been saying since the beginning it's not only a complicated case, complicated charges, but while I saw where the prosecution was going, you never really know if they made their case, because there were a lot of gray areas. There was a lot that the defense, I've said it before, I'll say it again, Sean had incredible lawyers, cross-examination was really, really impressive. But I'll tell you, speaking to you, I can only imagine how much he appreciates you as a friend, to be going out there and doing that. So, and I know, look, I let everybody know inside baseball as we're doing the interview. You're getting a ton of calls. You're a very wanted man right now, or right after the verdict. So, I'm going to let you go, but Carucci, thank you so much for coming on. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you. And I'm a fan dog, and like to get this as an honor to even get to speak to you. Dog, this is really, really amazing for me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And Justin walk away with a fray is not a RICO. And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.